Hey everyone. This week I have Dr. Samantha Ess, and we are talking about fertility. And we're just going to jump right back in. Dr. Sam, if there is one thing that you have found, regardless of gender of your patients, do you find that there's just one thing that makes the biggest difference in people's fertility?
Oh man, I feel like this is a loaded question.
Totally.
But ultimately, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is environmental factors, right? They and that's also loaded too, because that I'm including, food, water, products that we use. I even kind of think of sleep and it can actually cover a wide range of things, but environmental factors would definitely be the biggest thing, at least right now, for sure.
For sure. Yeah, there's an MD I follow on social media, and she's like, yeah, the reason that she thinks that fertility is becoming such an issue is because there's more people than ever trying to have babies after 35. And I don't know about you, but the youngest patient I saw for fertility issues was 21. And that's not someone over the age of 35, and she should have been able to get pregnant no problem in my brain if it's just an age number or an age game, right? Is that something you're seeing
Absolutely.
too?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. I'm actually seeing everyone, most people I would actually say I see between 20s and 30s, but yes, 21, 22, that's an age where they're struggling just as much. And I do think that people are waiting longer, so maybe the rates have gone up a little bit more of people struggling with fertility, but it is definitely something happening in younger individuals.
Yeah, 21-year-olds shouldn't have an issue, in my opinion, like at all. And,
Yeah.
like there's no genetic reason to like not being able to have a child. And I think you hit the nail on the head with the environmental factors, because even when I was growing up, things like, the scented air fresheners weren't really that popular until like the early 2000s. And, we have all these fragrance products. Even fragrance free means fragranced of some sort. It's like a fragrance that's
Yeah.
fragrance free. It's like, you have to be such a intense label reader to like make sure you're actually avoiding fragrances.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm even good at label reading and I've had years of practice and experience with it. And sometimes I'm like, was I just duped? Like, did I read this wrong? Because like you said, now fragrance free, you even look in the back and it's a non-fragrance fragrance.
Yeah, it's
It,
ridiculous.
it cracks me up.
And the
Yeah.
problem with fragrances, right, is that fragrances are phthalates, which are plasticizers. They're types of plastic softening agents that also
Mhm.
happen to have smells. And so, like, for example, we get like scentless trash bags and they have a smell to them. They have that plastic
Mhm.
smell. And like, those are all the fragrances that we're talking about. And yeah, perfumes, colognes, the air scented air freshener scented stuff, like all of that stuff is highly questionable. And we haven't even talked about personal care products, right? um,
Yeah. Yes,
uh,
the things that you put on your body. Yeah.
and absorb into our skin, right? um, well, I knew it was going to be a loaded question, so I had an actual question. And one of the things, Malarian hormone. Oh my God, I'm totally mispronouncing that. So correct me. AMH. Is it as big of a deal
Great.
as we think it is?
That's also kind of a loaded question.
Okay.
I would say short answer is no. I tell people all the time that it's just an estimate and it's one piece to the puzzle. I like to actually look at AMH with other hormones as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I really like to look at it against like follicle stimulating hormones, so FSH, LH, and then also testosterone and DHEA. Those are all things that can actually show, you know, how healthy our ovaries are, as well as can also help us predict egg quality. But at the end of the day, we don't know egg quality unless we are testing it,
Totally.
like the specific egg,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all just at the end of the day an estimation. But you can get a bigger picture with all of the hormones put together, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm seeing a low AMH, a high FSH, a low DHEA, and a low testosterone, I'm a lot more worried about egg quality than I would be if we had all those other values good and just a low AMH.
Sure.
I will tell people as a rule of thumb, if there is a low AMH, I still will help work on egg quality. We'll work on mitochondria. We'll work on
Mm-hmm.
reducing inflammation. Um, reducing reactive oxygen species, all of that. But to try this is really hard to tell someone with infertility, right? But to
Sure.
try not to focus as much on that because it
Mm-hmm.
is really one factor and the other factors are looking really good.
Yeah, and that's what I have found too in some just like classes and CEs that I've taken is like AMH is a big deal, but it's not we can't just hang our hat on that. Like, oh, you have low AMH, which is supposedly your ovarian reserves, your egg quality is what
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Sam is talking about. Um, and so I'm glad that you bring up like, hey, it's a little more nuanced than that. And like, it depends on other factors. And there are things that we can do to improve egg quality. And I appreciate that you said it's an estimate because we're not going in and testing the individual eggs, right? So
Yep.
so what else? And in our messages back and forth, like in my practice, I don't see a ton of fertility, but the handful that I have seen, it seems like the male partner has been the person that's having the most issues, which has been interesting and insightful to me. You know, we see the headlines and maybe you and I see them because we're in the health world, but like sperm counts are down 50%. And one of the things I studied in college was actually male fertility and the fact that sperm counts, and that was in like 2010 when I did my
Mm-hmm.
write up for school. Fertility rates were down 50% then, and that now we're 15 years later. So they're probably a little bit more than that, but they're now making headlines. Are you seeing more male
Yes.
partner issues?
So I've always seen male partner issues. I think it's just growing in the social media
Sure.
sphere, which is going to translate to articles being written about it. And
Mm-hmm.
I just essentially think more people are paying attention to it, to be honest. I
Yeah.
think it's always been something that has been as big of a deal. It's just no one was looking at it because that seems easier, right?
Totally.
I mean, at the end of the day, if someone's doing like IUI or IVF, they can do a sperm wash or just find one good sperm and it just needs to meet the egg. And so it just seems, I feel like it's been shown or presented to be less of an issue when it truly is a big factor.
Yeah.
And I'm happy it's being talked about. I've actually been talking about it a lot more as well because people are finally listening to it. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
even a few years ago, I was posting about it and I was like, it takes two, but it still wasn't spoken about as much as it is now.
Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, those numbers are probably even dropped more. I will tell you, within the last year, I have seen numbers drop. Like 99% of my population is fertility, and I've seen them decline, like
Wow.
from before,
That's so
which is
interesting.
kind
Like
of been blowing my mind.
in a year too. Like that's not a very big
Yeah.
time period to see a noticeable change.
Hmm.
Any suspicions, hypotheses?
Um, well, I think one, more people, like I used to have a lot of women who kind of dragged their male partners. I think more men are also becoming aware and
Sure.
more men are testing. So I think it's a lot about awareness, but again, with those environmental factors. But I also think, we've gone through a lot in the last few years as
Yeah.
humans, right?
Yeah, we sure have.
Um, Not to bring up, touchy subjects, but like COVID and then,
Super stressful.
elections and
Mm-hmm.
all these things, I do think play a massive impact. People struggling like with the economy and money and paying bills and like everything I feel
Yeah.
like is just can cause this, cascading effect.
Yeah, and you're talking about again environmental factors like how our environment, stress, finances, maybe you lost your job, maybe, all the things that like life happens and we can't control those external pieces. We can control how we feel about them and how we move through the world. And even then it's still tricky like, your grandparent dies, your partner dies, your dog dies, whatever happens, like it's tough. And so it's good
Yeah.
that we're acknowledging that things are multifaceted and not just, oh, you're not just your labs. Like we have these other pieces that we need to address as well. What do you think about the plastic clothing? And I'm being,
Mhm.
quotes because it's hiking clothes or it's wicking or it's quick drying or whatever like the marketing terminology they want to use. But at the end of the day, polyester is plastic. Are you
Yep.
finding that plastic clothing are having a negative impact on our fertility, whether male or female?
I mean, I absolutely think so. It's really hard though, because I mean, it's pretty much everyone's entire wardrobe at
Pretty
the end
much,
of the
yeah.
day. And
Yeah.
it's super hard to be like, go buy a new wardrobe. So I start with the basics. Like
Mm-hmm.
I will tell people to really focus on organic cotton undergarments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or workout clothes, things that are really tight, and that you're wearing
Mm-hmm.
for long periods of time or sweating in. Um,
Mm-hmm.
those are usually a good place to start. But yeah, I mean, I think all of it's impacting us. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, like you said, it's plastic, and unfortunately, I mean, I don't wear perfect clothing. I
Me
wish I
neither.
could say I did.
It's damn near impossible to find, you know?
Yeah,
You want
yeah,
something that's more form fitting. Like I do a lot of thrifting to find older quality clothing that I don't have to pay a premium for. And even then you pay a
hmm,
premium for whatever and it's still not like the quality that was, 50 years ago. Um, yeah, like finding a pair of jeans without some kind of stretching agent or like even underwear, like organic cotton underwear have stretchy something, but it's like mostly
yep,
organic or mostly cotton. So, that's my trade off. It's like, we're not asking people to be perfect. We're just asking for a little more awareness. My husband's a big fan of the wool underwear personally. I kind of scoff at the price. $50 for a pair of underwear, but he likes them and they make him feel good. So, okay, fine.
yep. No, there's only so much, like you said, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
I'm up for women. I find that workout clothes are very in, and they wear them all the time, and they're like
Yeah.
living in them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I make a big stink about leggings and trying to transfer over them, or if you have some from like Lulu or Aloe, to only wear them for like an hour workout or so, and
Yeah.
then to switch into them. I'm like, I have like my airplane leggings and my all day leggings and like my cute workout leggings, and that's okay
Sure.
too. Like I used to work
Sure.
at Lululemon. Do you know how many pairs of leggings I've given away at this point? And
Yeah.
I almost feel bad giving them away because I'm like, I know they're bad.
They're full of PFAS. Yeah, I know. Lululemon's gotten in trouble for that. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
we're saying what we're talking about is like the reality of things. It's like we know that these things are not the best for us, but we also know that they have some negative consequences. So again, having that nuanced perspective rather than throwing the baby out with the bathwater, if you will. It's like, can we
Yep.
transition some things and like a piece at a time? If you buy a 6-pack of new underwear, great, and like that's where you're starting. That's a better place than where you were. A penny's worth more than no penny. Um,
Absolutely.
what else? What are some of the like main conversations you have with your clients, your patients?
Well, just kind of going off of what we're talking about right now is I also like to remind fertility patients that, like you said, a little bit is better than none, because then they can get so stressed and so overwhelmed
Mm-hmm.
about environmental toxins that that's its own issue in itself. So with my fertility population, we have to be very careful because they've also already have been trying everything. And when most of my patients said they've tried everything, I ask them of what they've tried, but I pretty much believe them because they have gone down the rabbit holes. And I've learned a ton from my patients just because of everything that they have, studied and gone through and learned. And so I think it's definitely worth emphasizing that a little at a time is good. Like once or if you're switching over your laundry detergent, like once you just wait till you run out and then switch it over. Like you don't have to throw everything away that you
Mm-hmm.
bought and already invested in. Just do
Totally.
it, inch by inch.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to emphasize that.
Yeah. Yeah. The stress is like patients coming in on like a boatload of supplements, and it's like my question is do they actually need all of those supplements all the time? Maybe 3 out of the 10 would be really valuable. Is that something you find to be true as well, or are you kind of more helpful?
That depends, which I feel like a classic naturopathic doctor answer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with fertility, I find it to be a little bit different than just like a classic wellness patient,
Sure.
for a number of reasons. One, timing matters. Two, it matters even more to them because they've spent years most of the time trying when they come to me.
Yeah.
Um, Three, there's usually some major underlying cause that is not being fixed by diet and lifestyle, because I got to tell you, like I said, when I said a lot of my patients have tried a lot of different things,
Yeah.
normally their diet and lifestyle has been pretty good for a year and a half or however long, and
Yeah.
nothing's changed for them. So sometimes they do need those supplements and herbs to kind of have them get on the right track, and then the diet and lifestyle to maintain that track essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do tell people is like, this is more than you'll ever be on normally. Like my supplement protocol for egg quality is something you would never just do.
Yeah.
It's because we're really trying to change things that are very minute. And I think it's important. I do just remind them like this isn't forever and this shouldn't be what someone puts you on normally,
Yeah.
right? This is specifically for this fertility journey.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have people that come to me on a ton of supplements that aren't specific, right? So this the specificity, like let me think about how to say that word, is really important, right? Because sometimes people are taking, for example, DHEA, which can be great for egg quality, but they haven't tested their DHEA or
Yeah.
DHEA sulfate yet.
Yeah.
And they could already have a lot, and that could actually cause an issue if they're taking too much. And I find that people are really receptive to that supplement. So a lot of times a little goes a long way when
Sure.
people just put them on 25 milligrams 3 times a day without even monitoring or
Yeah.
checking a lower dose.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So yeah, right? Like what? So being really specific about supplementation is important, but
Mm-hmm.
on the fertility journey, there might be a little bit more than you would normally be taking.
Yeah. And that makes sense. Like I hear what you're saying is like, hey, these people, they've been trying for a couple years, they're not drinking, they're not smoking, they're going to sleep, they're exercising, maybe even, doing those things too perfectly. Like, right. Again,
Yeah.
addressing that like a stress, I'm trying to do it perfectly. And we've all heard the stories of like the person that stops trying to conceive, they go and adopt, they literally get their kid that's adopted and then like they get a positive pregnancy test for the first time in 3 years.
Right.
That stress piece we can't emphasize enough. And it's not the only piece. Like, yes, and
Right.
so supplement protocols are valuable, and being specific is something that I'm hearing.
Very specific. Like I have like my general, like obviously want a prenatal, right? And then after, and like a lot of times vitamin D is pretty much a given too, because most of us,
Yeah.
I've rarely seen a right normal vitamin D or optimal vitamin D.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, it's like everything is very specific based off honestly labs,
Yeah.
at least how I do it.
Yeah,
I'm
totally.
very intentional with that.
Yeah, like blood sugar, I'm sure is a pretty big one. And I know inositol can be really valuable for helping blood sugar and sleep, and egg quality maybe too. I'm not sure on that one though.
Yeah, no, it is good for egg quality. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
nice.
Specifically those with PCOS.
Yeah, PCOS, exactly. Okay,
Mm.
so what else? What are some other pieces with fertility? So we've talked a lot about the environmental pieces. Let me ask you this. What's the most common health condition, health reasoning that someone comes in that they've been diagnosed with and they are having a hard time conceiving?
Well, I mean, the classics are endometriosis and PCOS.
For sure.
But what I will tell you is what I see a lot of is unexplained infertility diagnosis,
Uh-huh.
because I'm that person that they come to
The end of the
when,
rope, yeah.
yeah, when everyone's like, it is IVF, right?
Right.
So I get a ton of unexplained infertility. And what I tell most people is it's not like one big thing. There's like a lot of little things that are adding up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe gut health isn't optimal. I like to focus on gut health a lot with fertility. Maybe, thyroid is all your numbers look good, but oh wait, we did your thyroid antibodies and those are elevated.
Right.
Maybe it's a, clotting disorder mixed with an MTHFR mutation and thyroid and your gut. And, there could be
Right.
these little tiny things that are just all adding up. And if we even just get one to be optimal, things can happen.
Yeah,
Things can
things can
change.
shift. I love that. And again, you're taking such the good naturopathic doctor perspective in that, like, it's not just one thing. Like we as naturopathic doctors look at the entire whole person and like, okay, we've got gut health, we've got the thyroid. And I love that you talk about antibodies because your TSH can be perfect. Your T3 and T4 can be perfect in optimal reference ranges. And then your antibodies are off the charts. I've seen that too. And it's kind of crazy to me that conventional docs won't run antibodies if TSH is good. And I do think insurance plays a role there, but regardless, it's a little bit insane
Yeah.
the number of times I've seen antibodies.
Yeah, they have to interrupt you, but yeah, they have to. I think it does have to do with insurance,
It does.
probably.
Yeah.
Because they run like a TSH and a free T4 with a reflex,
With reflex,
and
exactly.
that's what it is. And reflex, like you said, for people listening, is essentially if those come back abnormal, then they'll order the other additional thyroid labs that seem to be important, like antibodies.
Yep, exactly.
And so That is a problem. I am seeing though more REs or reproductive endocrinologists ordering antibodies now, which is good, but then
Mm-hmm.
they don't really know what to do with it. So
Sure.
that's kind of like the next step, right? It's like, okay, they're like, your antibodies are high, so it's probably causing an issue, but the only thing that they're doing is putting them on, levothyroxine. And
Sure.
like, it's maybe helpful for the antibodies, but honestly probably not the most helpful thing. Maybe that I tend to see that be a little bit more helpful with like a TSH or a low T4 or T3, free
Yeah.
T3, excuse me. The antibodies tend to need a lot more time and attention on specifically the gut health,
Yeah,
if I'm
exactly.
totally being honest. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then if you find someone's antibodies are high, do you then run a stool panel, or do you kind of like have a general protocol that you like to do with patients to help get their gut health in good shape? And I'll put the caveat, just because you're not having gut symptoms, gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, sensitive tummy, does not mean you're not having gut issues.
Oh my gosh, I wanted to jump for joy when you said that. It's so hard to explain to people though that that's the case, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I mean, I tell people, I'm like, it can be anything from frequent colds to hair loss to your nails are changing to fatigue to brain fog, like to anxiety. I mean, it can be so many different things. It doesn't have to be actually what we would deem as regular or normal gut symptoms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I actually nowadays, for anyone with like anyone struggling with fertility, I just have them do a stool test off the bat.
Yeah.
Honestly, not even looking at antibodies. I mean, I'm looking at those too, but I just have everyone do one. And to be honest, that even can, at this point, come before even some serum labs.
Wow.
I want them to do the serum labs and the gut test at the same time, but if they have to choose, gut, I've just seen make such a difference that over the years I'll wait, or because those tests are more expensive, they're
They
functional
are.
tests and insurance tends to not cover them, so I'd wait. But now I'm like, no, you should do this. Like, this is the first test I'd run,
Yeah.
because I have just seen people, even just, I'll have them pause trying to conceive during parts of their healing and gut protocol, depending on, what they're taking and things like
Sure.
that. And they'll sometimes accidentally get pregnant, because their ovulation shifted a little bit
Uh-huh.
because gut was healing. And I'm like, how crazy is that though? Like, they've been struggling for years. Now they're accidentally getting pregnant. Like, that blows my mind.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, just the power though of gut health.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, and it's done that multiple times. It's not like a one-off
Yeah.
situation.
No, that's something early in practice. I was like, it can't all be the gut, just kind of being a rebel. And then the more that I was focused on other things first before gut health, I was spinning my wheels and people weren't getting better. And then I backtracked and said, okay, the gut first, and Lord and behold, like symptoms go away, patients get better, they're not having to come and see me, and I'm like, okay, there's totally something here. And the gut is kind of the center of the universe in our body, and it's kind of frustrating but also so enlightening and empowering, because it's like, wow, people are leaving and they're not needing my help anymore, and in your case they're getting accidentally pregnant, which is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm the same as you. I was a total, like, can't all be the gut. We're obsessed. Naturopaths are obsessed with the gut. Yeah, we're obsessed with the gut for a reason.
There's a
There's a
reason.
very strong reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I've like dumped all my like, CE hours or money and investment, additional ones into gut health. Pretty much all the stuff I'm like continuously obsessing over and learning is gut at
Yeah.
this moment in time.
Yeah. And I mean, there's just so much, and I don't know if you find this to be true, but every time I learn something, then there's another piece that's kind of underlaying that. And like the vitamin D thing is actually pretty interesting to me, because I'm like you, I live in a really sunny state in Colorado, and we're still too high longitudinally to get like enough vitamin D, even for my farmers and ranchers that spend a lot of time outside. Still see super low vitamin D. So then I'm like wondering, like, okay, are there receptor issues? No, it's just like the angle of the sun affecting. But I'm wondering if like gut health plays a role, and somehow inflammation uses more vitamin D when we're a little more inflamed. Are you kind of picking up pieces of what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I do find that gut health ultimately can play in a lot of I mean, this isn't like the biochemical correct process at all, but
Right,
like
right,
mineral absorption, right?
right.
Like mineral, um, intake essentially. Because ultimately gut, I tell everyone, there's a lot of factors that the gut can contribute to of our system, but we're looking at inflammation,
Mm-hmm.
micronutrient absorption. It's 70% of our immune system, and then it is our microbiome, and it's kind of the home of our microbiome. And then based off our gut microbiome, the rest of our microbiome essentially is determined based off that. So I tell people all the time, I'm like, our gut microbiome is completely linked to our reproductive microbiome. And so, back to sorry, I'm like going on a total rant, but ultimately, when it comes to the gut, yes, I do believe that if that's not optimal, we're not going to have the same response to vitamin D absorption, or
Right.
creating vitamin D in our body from the sun, or absorbing iron from our food, or
Yeah.
any micronutrients at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I see that a lot. And I don't where are you in Arizona? Is it elevated there?
No, I'm in Scottsdale,
You're in
so
Scottsdale. Okay.
I'm not. But the UV rays get strong.
Yeah.
But I tell a lot of people, I go, the issue is even being outside. Like most of the time, you have to almost be in like a bathing suit with no sunscreen on for an extended period of time to actually get down.
Enough. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I really like this app for people who want it to not take a supplement. It's called D Minder.
Oh,
I
I've
don't know
heard
if you've
about
heard of
that.
it.
Yeah. I've
It's
never
really
used
cool. So
it.
we'll tell people like how long they should be in the sun for based off the UV index and things like that
Yeah, exactly.
to get a good amount of vitamin D.
Yeah, and like the trouble too is like the best time to absorb vitamin D is the highest UV index in the time of the day. And like most of us are
Yep.
working, or like I live in a high elevation area with the UV index being 11 most all summer long, which is the highest on the
Mm.
scale. And so like it's pretty easy, I'm pretty pasty, like it's pretty easy to burn doing that.
Yeah.
Now, could a person like be outside, go for a walk, take their shirt off, have like a tank top on and get some? Yeah, I've seen that be valuable, but again, like it's not enough. But
Yeah.
what you were saying about minerals, that's why I asked about elevation, is that's something I see a lot in my practice, is like pretty significant mineral deficiency. And I do think the gut's playing a role because we need good stomach acid to be able to break down our minerals so they're absorbed in the small intestine. But the other piece is we also live at elevation, which makes us more susceptible to significant dehydration. And so if we're overhydrating ourselves with water but not adding in minerals, it just like becomes this like catch-22, and like it's a serious issue. And like the mineral thing, again, that's another one of those that I was like, it can't be that simple. No, minerals make a big difference. If you're not getting minerals and you get minerals all of a sudden, like you're sleeping better, you're less anxious, your skin feels better, you're digesting better. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you were at school with me, right? I don't know if you heard the story, but I heard the story a million times how like in certain areas, they'll just give people multivitamin and it changes their life.
Wow.
Like that's crazy to me, but that's because they just needed a little bit of extra minerals in life, essentially.
Yeah.
Um, but I also see a depletion, and back to the environmental factors, just from our environment, right?
Yeah.
Like if you go through what can impact our system, but like vitamin B, magnesium, like those are two big ones that tend to be very low, and they're showing more and more that that could be related to, I mean, honestly, just like what we're exposed to on a
Right.
daily,
They're
right? Like
cofactors for
the
our detox
plastics,
pathways.
and
And
yes, and they're very important
And so if
for
we're being
detoxing.
exposed, you go walk down the laundry soap aisle and it smells freaking terrible, and people are standing in there and not dying from the fumes, which I'm always shocked by that people can just tolerate that. I live in a scentless household that's not a fragrance scentless, it's just scentless. No smell. And so I'm not used to that. But again, like with my health history, like I used to get really bad migraines and I could not walk past the aisle without getting super sick. But over the years, gaining my health back, and I know you have a similar story with like your thyroid and like gaining your health back. adding in B complex and magnesium can be huge because those are cofactors that help our body go through the detoxification process. So this is something else that I see all over social media from the conventional docs of like, yeah, well, we all detox, you don't need to do any detox protocols. And I'm not saying do detox protocols, but there are things you can do to support your body's processes. And the example I give is like, hey, we're asking the liver to do 12 jobs and you're standing in line and the plastics are, we're constantly bombarded, whether we live a quote unquote clean lifestyle or not, we're still being exposed to them because we walk through the grocery store, right?
Absolutely. And I tell people that too. I go, at the end of the day, I don't think we need like these like giant detoxes or cleanses even. I mean, some people were really into that. I'm not super, but supporting our detox pathways, absolutely. Right. I mean, for fertility, I like immediately am like mention it, go in the sauna, but women do wonderful in the sauna. We love the heat anyway. I mean, there's always those jokes about how women can have like the hottest showers
the
ever.
Scalding hot showers.
Like,
no, I see it too.
Yeah. But like we do wonderful in the heat. Our bodies like it. It's great for like detoxification. I love a castor oil pack, which if you're talking about online though, like now
they
were
belly
like
button
talked about too much.
Right.
Yeah. And like everyone was obsessed with doing them too much. And now there's like all these bad things that are like coming out about it. I'm like anything, if you use too much of it, it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
Like most of the time we all want like just don't want to use it too much. Do a castor oil pack on your liver like 2 times a week. That would be great.
Yeah.
Right.
I usually start with 3 times a week, but you're totally right. Like everything has an edge and we need to not, extreme is still extreme regardless of whether it's natural or not.
Yes, exactly. I mean, working out, I mean, high intensity interval training got like all this hate and it's still kind of getting hate. But I'm like, yeah, because people were doing like 60 to 90-minute high intensity workouts and totally frying their systems and feeling terrible, but like forcing themselves to do it.
Yeah.
There's a really good way and healthy way to do a high intensity training or interval training workout, right?
Right. And it's not 90 minutes every day and burning yourself out and needing to take a nap when you get back. Hi, that was me.
Yeah. I mean, I loved high intensity interval training. Like that was my thing. Lately, I have been more into just like slower stuff, like weight training and Pilates. But if you like it and you feel good on it,
Yeah.
That's what matters. Most of the time, when it's hurting someone, they're like, yeah, I feel drained and I'm doing like 5 of them a week.
Exactly. Yeah, and like seeing people not eat enough. So, okay, people come to see you. They're kind of at their end of the rope. You're their last hope. I'm sure you've heard things like this before. My doc said my last choice is IVF. Let me ask you this. Have you seen people that have had failed IVF treatments that come to see you and get pregnant?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Absolutely.
That's amazing because IVF is not cheap.
Yeah, it's not cheap at all. I actually have a lot of people that will also now, they've had like multiple failed IVF sessions and they still have some embryos and they want to use them. But this time they're like, we're preparing our system before doing that.
Nice.
And I got to tell you, the big thing that I see help is treating the gut. So a lot of times like they'll already have the embryos and we'll work through and we'll make sure their, vitamin D and their ferritin and things like that look good and optimal. But we treat the gut and normally there's something wrong. They have H. pylori, they have candida, they have, a parasite, or they have just overgrowth of bacteria, or their microbiome is just shot. Like they don't have any healthy or good bacteria.
Right.
And I see us heal that. And there's a cool story. And I share this one a lot because she actually is very public about it on Instagram, but she had, I think it was 5 or 6 failed IVF transfers. They told her that she needed a gestational carrier. She was looking for, surrogates, essentially. She had one, but then like it fell through for her health reasons and all of this stuff. And then she came to me. Her gut was a mess. We had to work on her gut for about 8 months. But now she has twins after her last and final 2 eggs that they both implanted. So it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
And that really speaks to the power of like stepping back and like we've been so micro focused and on the reproductive components of it and like doing all the things that are specific for the hormonal system. But when we take a step back and work on the gut, things kind of just fall into place. I love the beautiful simplicity that is.
Yeah, the only thing we did was work on the gut. I didn't touch her hormones because they were going to be shifted with another round, another transfer. I mean, I
Yeah.
helped with a few micronutrients and stuff, but it was the gut.
That's so amazing. Any other
Mhm.
final thoughts you want to share on fertility?
I always like to say, like, my heart goes out to anyone that's experiencing it. It's really difficult. And I always just say, like, find someone that you can trust, that you can lean on to also be in your corner. It doesn't even have to be me. It can be anybody. And
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, I think having that extra support can be a game changer and can kind of, actually quicken the timeline. Although natural medicine is slow, it can be powerful and healing to just also have someone just listen to your thoughts and emotions pertaining to your journey.
Yeah.
Um, but also, everyone's journey is their own,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to do what feels right for you in the moment. But um, I feel like having that extra support is really awesome because it does take a team or a village, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, to really go through something like this and,
Yeah.
try to stay happy, healthy, and positive throughout that time.
Totally. And it's like,
But
it's not necessarily someone to give you advice. And I appreciate you saying that. It's someone that's going to bring you, you know, excuse my crassness, coffee and a cigarette and cry with you after your last round or you had a miscarriage or whatever it is. And like, not that I'm promoting, you know what I'm saying though. It's like someone that's just going to sit in your corner and sit with you and let you have your feelings and not try and fix or solve them for you. Just let you have them so you can process. Because, like you said, it's
yeah,
tough and it feels not fair and a lot of words that go with that and being tender and gentle and trying not to compare, which is always challenging in today's social media heavy world, but it's true. It's really important that we do those things to take care of ourselves. And maybe that means that you take a social media break for a little while or you say no to your friend's third baby shower that they're having and you still don't have your baby yet, right? Like it's okay to do those things to take care of yourself.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I tell people it's okay to feel all of the emotions too. Like, you can be happy for someone and still be mad and sad and angry and jealous. Like, it doesn't, we're humans, we're complex. We have the ability to feel all those things at once, and that's okay. The
Yeah.
hardest part, though, is not feeling guilty. I think
Mm,
about that. So, a lot of people on their fertility journey are like, this is my friend. I should be happy for them. What's wrong with me?
yeah.
And I'm like, nothing's wrong with you. You're human. It's okay to feel those things. And
Yeah.
I think also just like knowing that is important. Easier said than done, but that's one step towards,
Yeah. Simple
a
is
little
not
bit of
easy.
healing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
My last question for you, Sam, is there's a lot of these online fertility. Let me optimize your hormones without even testing. I've seen this sometime in my clinic. Have you seen them be helpful, harmful, or kind of neutral? Or it depends.
Oh, yeah. I'm like the classic naturopathic answer of it depends. I do think it depends. So I actually have created, a couple courses myself, but in them, it's never a full fertility fix. It's pretty much if people just want to learn a little bit more about their journey and like what they can do.
Sure.
They're not like, here's how you heal your gut for fertility, right? I feel like the ones that say that are, some people can do it from those types of courses or things out there, but I do think that it can be sometimes a waste of money. I don't want to say that, but because knowledge is power. But at the end of the day, like, I find that I see people who've like invested in this, couple $1,000 course because it was going to be a little bit cheaper or whatever.
Yeah.
And it ends up not being because they're like, I didn't do it. I don't know enough. Like, it's really hard
Yeah.
to explain also what we do because people don't understand the education that we have, right? Like, they don't
Agreed.
understand that when I look at a lab, I don't just see a low vitamin D. I see a million other things that are going on. I'm just explaining to you that you have low vitamin D, but like, my mind is immediately going to also what could be happening? Why is this lower? Like, what's going on in the gut? I wonder how the thyroid is. Vitamin D is crucial with testosterone. Testosterone is crucial for egg quality. So there's like these constant maps that we're drawing in our heads that just, it's not as simplistic as like, take this course.
Yeah.
And I was actually going to make one myself. And then I'm thinking about all of this. I'm like, I can't do that. This is going to be like, end up being like a 2-year long course for people to try to like fix their own hormones or health or fertility. And it's not possible.
It's not possible. And
But
people also, like you said, like it helps to have someone keep you accountable of like, okay, this is what you specifically need, instead of them trying to figure it out and be the scientist themselves. That's why they're consulting with us. And like, I hear people want to save money, but also like the whole thing, at least from, I spend time with some business mentors. It's like when I was trying to do it without a business mentor, it was a little bit harder, although it was cheaper. It was harder to do by myself because then I had to figure out and troubleshoot, right? So it's kind of the same thing. And like having a little bit of support is helpful.
Yeah. And it usually you get from A to B a lot faster, right?
Totally.
Same. Like I've had my business mentors, I've had, like, I can call myself a fertility expert after, only a few years being out of school. I mean, more than a few now, but still. But that's because I spent and studied in an intense fertility mentorship for a year after I graduated.
Yep,
right.
Exactly.
And I couldn't say that now, in my belief, without going through that. Right.
Totally.
But yes, I think the courses are good. Like I said, like knowledge is power at the end of the day. There are some really good ones out there who also will be like, you can do your testing and everything, and then I can give you a little plan based off your testing. So it's kind of like a hybrid that can be nice for people.
Sure.
But it also depends on what it's for. Like, I feel like fertility is just so complex.
Yeah.
But if there's like, for healing your thyroid, that one actually might be, well, then you go to gut health. But anyway, that's
right.
Sorry, again, tangents. I'm like, well, let's think about all of this.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So where, if my guests, my listeners want to find you, where's best for them to hit you up?
Yeah. So Instagram is probably my main platform. I have a ton of freebies, like an ovulation tracking guide. I have a semen analysis review guide where a lot of people are told that their semen analysis is just fine. And it drives me crazy because these are like new values based off of like the average now, which is not optimal. So like, let's look at optimal values. So this guide provides that for you. It also gives you 15% off a semen analysis if you just want to do it at home. I don't make any money from it. The 15% that I would have made, I have actually given to you guys. So that's something really great, I think, to do, because it does take two. I have like a favorites guide with a lot of healthy products on there, which can be helpful. So check out all my freebies. I do also have a YouTube channel. I haven't been posting recently because life. But ultimately there is a lot of info on there about, fertility and how gut plays a role, how thyroid plays a role. So you can kind of start to understand those things and why they're important if you do feel iffy about natural medicine. Because then it can be like, okay, this actually makes sense. There's some tangible reasons for why, this lady's talking about thyroid and gut so much. Right.
Right.
And then I do obviously have my website. It's just walkthenaturopath.com. So pretty much walk the natural path anywhere. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, my website. You'll find me.
Cool.
And then I have a consultation. So if people want to jump on consultation calls to chat with me, I always recommend that because I think it's nice to get to know your practitioner before you're investing with them.
Absolutely. And that gives you a sense too, like, is this someone would be better suited somewhere else, or, do they need to come and see you? Exactly. And is your practice primarily virtual?
It is. I find that, I know this is a longer answer than you probably wanted, but I find that in the fertility journey, it's really nice because most of the time they've already been to 1,000 doctor appointments and, they're not wanting to come in anymore. And I understand that. You want to talk to me in your jammies next to your dog or cat with a blanket on and a cup of tea. And I'm here for that.
Cool. I love that. Well, Dr. Sam, I really appreciate you joining me today on the Dr. Shayna Show. If you guys found this interesting, or someone that's struggling with fertility and you think that they could glean some value from it, send them send him this podcast episode. And, to support me and my podcast channel, I really appreciate liking and subscribing. It really does help me know that I'm helping people. And like I said, before we jumped on, Sam, I got a call from someone that's on my podcast. I have no idea how she found me, and I can't see her because I'm not licensed in the state that she found me in. But, the ripple effect of us sharing this knowledge is tenfold in my mind. And so thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for having me.